There, everybody. Obviously, I'm not in the building today. I did take some days off to start vacation a little bit early, but we're fortunate enough to have a guest teacher joining us. And I've already put in the sub-plans that every single person out there watching this video right now knows exactly what to do in our classroom to be safe, be respectful, and be responsible. Fifth graders, although we just started working with clay, you are going to work with clay again today, but cleanup is going to be especially important for you so your clay doesn't dry out while we're all at home on Christmas break. So at the end of class, you need to make sure your project goes back on the correct shelf in the kiln room. But if you're not done working with your project, it needs to go inside a bag, and you also need to take a wet paper towel about this long and carefully drape it over your project inside the bag and then seal it up, make sure your name is on there and your class. Then carefully carry it into the kiln room and put it on the shelf. If for some reason you finish that project today, please ask our guest teacher to write your name on there, and then you are going to put it in the kiln room on the correct shelf, but you're going to leave it out of the bag so it begins to dry. Please make sure you are paying attention to that. Otherwise, your clay is going to dry and we're going to be out of luck when you come back from break. Otherwise, cleanup is going to be exactly like it would be if I was actually in the room with you. Placemat papers need to go back on the cart underneath the paint shirts by the kiln room door. Send somebody from your table with the clay tools and put them back over there behind sink number 3. Please make sure you sweep up all the extra clay off your table into your hand and put it in the trash can. And the last and perhaps most important thing, have a great break, enjoy your Christmas, have a happy new year, and I will see you again in January. Grotesque kids, as you're beginning to add stuff, it's easier to add things that are either flat pieces like this called slabs of clay, or rolling things for arms using that kind of thin snake-like thing called a coil. And then obviously you'd score it and add it on there. So I'm actually going to use this piece and show you how to add some teeth. You want a fairly thick piece, about half as thick as your pinky finger. Cut out the shape you want for your tooth. And if this tooth is supposed to go down at the bottom there, obviously I'm going to have to trim it to make it a little bit smaller. Score, score, stick, and smooth. In here for the eyes, I just rolled some round pieces of clay, scored them, stuck them in there, and I actually used the flat end of a colored pencil to make the little eyeball indentations. I used that same coil idea to add my teeth. I used that slab idea to flatten out a tongue piece. And then when I wanted to make the fingers on these little crazy arms here, all I did was push my paper clip into them to separate them out, just like that. So a couple things that are really important today. If you are done with your grotesque creature, please let our guest teacher know. She will have our needle tool and she will be able to write your name nice and neatly down here. And you are going to put it in the kiln room on the kiln shelf that has your class written on it. The bags can go in the trash. So finished kids, you have no bag, just a project with your name on it on that kiln shelf. As soon as it's dry, I will fire it. If you are not done, and rattle kids, listen up because this applies to you too. If you are not done, carefully put your project in your bag. Use a paper towel that has some water on it. Notice it's not sopping wet and dripping. And carefully cover your project with that paper towel. You're not going to be here for about 2.5 weeks. Squeeze out any extra air and seal your bag. Put your bag just like that on the kiln room shelf with your class on it. Well, kids, not much changes for you. I would definitely recommend using coils and slabs for your project as well. The only difference is when you go to score, you are obviously going to be scoring a round area. So let's say I want to just attach this piece in kind of a circle on one side. I am going to score. I'll switch to my paper clip just like you would be doing it. Score my second piece of clay. Sometimes coils can get kind of tiny, so scoring can actually be done by poking your paper clip in instead of dragging it across like that. Once it's scored, push, trim any extra pieces that you need to trim, push, and then I would recommend probably using the rounded end of a paper clip to get inside that seam and very carefully smooth it all in. Any extra score lines that you see, go ahead and smooth those bad boys in too. Rattle kids, listen up. If you finish your rattle today, you need to let our guest teacher know because they're going to write your name on it. And then more importantly, she is going to make sure that you have a vent poked in that project. So you need to make sure you've got that paperclip hole poked through there and our guest teacher can see it and you can find it and point it out. Any projects that I can't see that hole on will not be fired. Your project goes outside of the bag, no bag at all if you're done with this project, and it goes on the kiln room shelf. If it is not done, it needs to be wrapped up with a wet paper towel, put in a bag, that bag gets sealed, and then it gets put on the kiln room shelf. Where in the world is your kiln room shelf? Well, it's in here, the kiln room, and it's either 5W, 5M is way down there on the bottom, and 5P is going to be this piece in the middle. Third grade just finished, so I'm going to cross that 3W off and write 5P. Make sure you get that stuff. These are the minimums. Do more if you want to do more. You don't have to rush because nothing has to be done today. So have fun with this project, get that stuff on there, take care of your clay at the end of class period, and the big thing, make sure you thank our guest teacher because let's be honest, they're doing clay with you and clay gets kind of messy.